Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Optics in Action, where we spotlight leaders with vision and clarity. And today I am so excited to have Aaron Smith. He is one of the co-founders of Savvy. And from what I gathered from our initial discussion and from looking at their website, they are looking to impact the world through this student loan debt crisis challenge that we find ourselves in our culture here in America today. So welcome, Aaron. I'm so excited to hear about Savvy, hear about your about what it is you do and how you do it and all of those types of things. So if you want to start with a little introduction to our audience and talk about what it is that you do and why do you do it?
Great. Well, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me on. Savvy is a unique type of student loan benefit company. We provide tools and services to hundreds of employers and other partners to help their employees and their members navigate student loan debt. And as you said, we are in a crisis right now where we have close to $2 trillion in student loan debt in this country. It's bigger than credit card debt. My background was I had started and led a nonprofit that focused on, among other things, changes to higher education policy. So why does college cost so much? What can we do about student debt? So we worked on a lot of these programs to try to improve them, at every level of government and at the state, and just saw that even when we had good programs, it was often difficult for people to even understand those programs. Sometimes I compare it to taxes where, imagine you didn't have TurboTax and you didn't have an accountant to help you find those deductions or find those tax credits. It would be really impossible for most people to navigate that. That's what we do on student loans. So if you're in the public sector, you work for a nonprofit, we help you find a program that could get your loans forgiven. If you're looking to lower your monthly payment, you might be eligible for what are called income-driven repayment plans that could lower your payment based on your income or your family size. So we basically have this algorithm that runs through all the different plans and helps people identify what they're eligible for and help them actually enroll. And you may have heard student loan payments were paused, but just started up again in October. And so right now is an incredibly important time for people to get a handle on what their student loan debt is and figure out how they can start to get back into repayment.
Yeah. This is a big deal. I was fortunate in that as when I was young, I started my first company. I was very entrepreneurial, and I had to pay my way through college. Like my dad was like, I want you to go to college, but you got to figure out how to pay for it. And so through a combination of scholarships, starting my own company, like I was like motivated to figure that out. And now that I've got college age students myself, the cost of college, the cost of education has just increased so dramatically over the past 30 years or so that it's really a challenging situation in a lot of respects. And so I love what you're doing and the fact that you're looking at ways of addressing this, because it is a big challenge in our country, having a whole generation of people coming out with these massive burden of debt and trying to start life and navigate life. And that's a big deal as they're starting out. So who is your target audience? Are you working with the students, with the universities, with employers, with the federal government? Is there, like, as you think about your process and your system, who's your target audience that you're typically collaborating with to navigate this?
Yeah, so we decided to offer Savvy as a B2B product. So we are not a direct to consumer offering. You're going to get this through your employer as an HR benefit. If you're a member of a group or an association, as a member of that group, even a financial institution as a customer, you could get access to it. And so that's who we're selling to, is to those types of providers and saying to them, look, you're an employer, you have your retirement benefit, you have your health insurance benefit, but student loan might be one of the top 3 financial challenges facing your employees, and you don't have anything when it comes to student loans. So Savvy is a great way for employers to offer something that can make a difference on, with their employees. And we see people with all different types student loan situations. You have people who go to grad school, a doctor with $300,000 in student loan debt. And increasingly in certain occupations, you have to get a grad degree. In a lot of places, if you're a teacher, you have to get a master's. And the average master's in education student is coming out with $50,000 in student loan debt. But what is a teacher's salary? It's not that high. So those types of folks, that's one, you're right. Then you've got another category, which are parents who take on loans for their kids. There's a kind of loan called a Parent Plus loan, which is one of the fastest growing types of loans. So it has all different kinds of rules, different programs that you're eligible for. So a lot of parents may benefit as well. And then I'd say people sometimes forget, there's a lot of people who don't have $100,000 in debt, but they may have $20,000 in debt or $15,000 in debt. They tend to be people who are lower income. Maybe you went to school, but you didn't complete. Now you're working a job and you don't have the benefit of that degree, but you still have all that debt. So really it's affecting people at all ages, at all sort of income levels. And it's an incredible challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we like to talk about is the intersection of people and process. So you've given a compelling case of why this is important, the $2 trillion in debt and the burden of students coming out of college. Some of them may not even have completed their degree, as you sort of gave us that spectrum of the who, parents who are also, taking out debt on behalf of their children. This also impacts employers. And so tell me a little bit about your process then. So you said you target the employers to offer this as a benefit to their employees and a benefit in their organization. So what's the process look like for an employer working with their employees, offering this as a benefit? Do you have sort of a process you can step us
Yeah.
through?
So any employer who signs up, they're going to get a unique co-branded site. So it's going to be their student loan benefit, powered by Savvy. They're going to be able to distribute that microsite to their employees. Sometimes the family members of employees can get access as well. And we give them a whole communications toolkit to really help them to, articulate and explain this new benefit to employees. That could be, part of the new hire packets that you pass out. It could be part of, the annual cycle of renewing your benefits and benefit enrollment. It could be part of, things that employers are doing around financial wellness, where student loans is obviously a piece of that. So we give the employer all these tools to educate their employees about student loan debt and about the Savvy benefit. And then employees can come through. It's pretty self-service. Like you can sign up, create an account, see your options. You can get additional one-on-one support if you need it through Savvy. We also have webinars, so a lot of the employees may attend a webinar to get more information. So it really kind of starts with the education. But then we also help people actually get into these programs, and that's where you see, real savings. So you're starting to save $150 a month is an average, or if you're in the public sector, over $30,000 in potential loan forgiveness.
Wow.
So that's kind of the process. And then we provide a dashboard to all of our partners where they can track the program. They can see how much impact they've had on their employees. And that's often a really powerful way for the employer to kind of stay engaged and see, wow, this benefit is really making a difference.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. And So is there a certain size of employer where this starts to make sense? Like, are you targeting primarily, large multinational type companies? Is it something that even small startups might offer to their employees and attracting talent? Or is there sort of a minimum size of organization where this starts to make sense?
I mean, we really have employers across the spectrum. We have employers with over 100,000 employees and under 100 employees. Traditionally, as a company, we focused more on larger employers just because it's a bigger pool of people. But we're seeing more and more small and medium-sized employers who are starting to hear about student loan benefits. It's really a new kind of type of benefit for many employers. And they're starting to, ask questions and try to figure out like, what are my options here when it comes to a student loan benefit? And so I would say it makes sense at at any employer level. I think sometimes we see really high demand in certain, industries where there's just tremendous demand for talent. So healthcare is a good example where you've got this competition for nurses and doctors, and social workers and all that. And at the same time, they have a lot of student loan debt. So a lot of demand there. But tech is another one where you mentioned like there's going to be, a young audience. Many of them will have student loan debt. So that's probably where I see the differentiation is sometimes by industry, but we see employers of all types at this point.
Well, listen, Aaron, it has been amazing having you on this episode of Optics in Action, talking about like we've covered the purpose, like why is this important? Why do we need this? And it sounds like you and your team are really starting to down a path of making an impact in the world. And I think as I said, I've got twins that are 21, right, in universities, and just looking at the challenges that families are having, and you see it in the news. So your purpose is very clear. I think the process that you just articulated, helping employers looking to attract talent, and how they can help employees to kind of walk through this process and find something that's a win-win for everybody. And you're having an impact on a lot of people, on the parents, on students, on employers, on employees, all of these different people. My final question is, how do people learn more about what it is you're doing? How do my clients, our audience, how do they learn more about Savvy? How do they learn more about Aaron Smith? How would you like them to contact you, or be able to connect with you to learn more?
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely come to our website, bysavi.com, and get a bunch of resources, both on student debt and Savvy, and how we work with companies. You can reach out to us at partners@bysavvy.com if you want to email us for more information. But we get, inbound requests constantly, we're happy to do a demo just so you can see the product in action. And it's, things like this to try to get the word out and make sure that this is a newer benefit, but that we think eventually every employer will have some type of student loan benefit. And so our job is just to make sure that as many as possible know about it and understand, why it really makes sense.
Awesome. Well, hey, again, Aaron Smith with Savvy. People can contact you at bysavvy.com. And I was super excited to have you on the episode of Optics in Action today, because this is something that's impacting large amounts of people in our society. And I love what you're doing to try to help people and try to move things forward. So anybody in the audience who has student loan debt, or children with student loan debt, it sounds like they could benefit just by looking at some of the resources on your site. But then
Yeah.
business owners and stuff can really benefit through their organization. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's exactly right. There are resources that are useful to anyone. And then if you are saying, hey, either I have a company or I work for a company that should really consider this, we're happy to kind of give you what you need to make that case internally.
Yeah. And is it usually the human resources folks, or or executive leadership teams? How do you
It's
normally start those
usually
conversations?
HR. It's usually HR who really manages this process, but we get interest from all different parts of companies that hear about it and think, hey, this would be a real added value to our benefit sort of suite. But usually we end up working with HR to kind of implement it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Aaron, for being on this episode of Optics in Action. Love what you're doing. I love the concept that your team is putting together and how you're impacting the world. So thank you again for coming on this episode.
My pleasure. All right, great talking to you. Ryan